Yo, what's going on? What's going on? So, I'm a little bit ambivalent with today's review. I just finished beating Silent Hill F. So, it was I think the second Silent Hill I bought in the last year, with the first one being Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I think with this one though, I feel conflicted. I feel conflicted and I feel definitely ambivalent, you know? And the reason I feel ambivalent is because I just came back from Japan. So it's like the setting that the game took place in, I feel like I was there in those areas. So I kind of know how they were styling it. But at the same time, this just did not feel like a Silent Hill. So let me explain. Whenever I think about Silent Hill, I'm thinking psychological trauma, self-loathing, nihilism, you know, things like that. That's usually kind of the frame of mind that Silent Hill puts you in. If there was ever a game that allows you to pity and wallow in your deepest regrets, it's Silent Hill. That's what it's good at, you know. And I'd say for Silent Hill F, I'd say for a good portion of that, you somewhat did that. Yeah, she definitely had her moments where she was loathing. She definitely was running from her past. Well, not her past, but she was running from a problem that she had. But I think what took me right out of the game and then brought me right back in was the gameplay, right? So I'm thinking, like, when you play Silent Hill, there has to be a level of helplessness that you embark upon or you expect. And whenever I was playing it, it was like, okay, wait. This is an action game. And then it would take me out again. This is a horror game. And then it put me back in. This is an action game. And then it takes me out again. This is a horror psychological game. And I'm just like, what is this? You know, what is this? And, you know, you had the classic pipe, you know, that you get in every Silent Hill game, you know, but you also got like an axe and stuff, and you didn't get a gun. At least I didn't have a gun. I don't think there was a gun. If it was, I would have found it. Yeah, I would have found it. But anyway, yeah, it started to feel very actiony throughout the game, and it was only in certain moments where it was actually horror. But whenever it was horror, it did it very well. You know, despite some maybe cliche-ish tropes, you know, like it gave, you know, the Ring type of vibes. But I also felt like maybe there was some, you know, if you're familiar with the video game Siren, there was some Siren vibes in there as well. But, you know, definitely like the Ring and like the Grudge type of feeling while you played the game. You know, there was, you know, spoilers ahead. You know, there would be when I was in the cornfield or whatever, on the tilling lands or whatever. There was like some scarecrows, and if you turned your back on them, they would start following you. I like that. I like that type of stuff. I really do. But and it was one guy that he runs on like all fours, and he scares the shit out of me every single time. I'm not kidding you. Every time I see him, or every time I'm like in a room locked by myself, or if I'm just walking and I stumble up on him, he is the scariest thing in that game, because it's like he goes so fast, like he's an animal or a dog, but he's like this thing from Sweet Home, and essentially it's like he doesn't have a face sometimes. Sometimes he has like these orange polyps coming from his head, but he always comes at you relentlessly, and every time he comes at you relentlessly, it feels like he's about to tear you limb from limb. And if you don't have like enough stamina or a good weapon, it just feels like he's gonna take you out every single time. And it put me on edge every time I saw him. If you play the game, it was he's like on all fours, and I thought that part was done really well, very, very well. But it's just like it kept switching to like intense action to this horror and this psychological horror. And if you're not familiar with Japanese customs and stuff, it's like, back then, 1950s and before and whatnot, having an arranged marriage, having to get married to somebody maybe you don't even know, that can be a scary thing. If I just threw you and said, hey, you gotta marry this person because it's for the good of the family, you really wouldn't feel good about that. And that's a type of horror that they capitalized off of in Silent Hill F. And I'm glad I was able to experience it, because it wasn't just a Western type of horror like a slasher per se, but it's something that's actually rooted in Japanese customs that was very prevalent in their society at one point, which is, the arranged marriage. So just the psychological aspect of having to get married, the psychological aspect of getting over your trauma from the past, the psychological aspect of maybe you repeating the same mistakes as your parents, that type of thing. All of that was sprinkled into the game, and I thought it was done well enough. It was just that whenever I would get into it, I was like, okay, I love the action. I love this action. And then it'll put you in the horror. I'm like, just make up your mind, That's what I was like, and like I said, it felt like the Silent Hill F was holding this game back from maybe being something entirely new, But for me, Silent Hill F, I just feel so conflicted. I don't know really what to feel about the game. It's not a bad game by any means at all. By no means at all. And it's a very well balanced game. But I do have one qualm. If not with the horror or with the story, it's just one little gameplay mechanic that really got on my nerves. It's the leveling up system, the power up system. So throughout the game, you need money basically faith is what they use as money, right? So if you need a certain amount of faith but you also need another component, which is Emma, these little wooden cardboard picture things. So without faith, you can't level up, and without Emma, you can't level up. So throughout the game, I was like, give me some goddamn Emma. Give me Emma. Give me Emma. Please. You know? And the whole thing, whenever you are trying to level up in an action game or something like that, it's a pretty significant level up. And you're able to really level up, right? But for me, I felt like all of the leveling up, you only need really one stat to get you out of most type spaces in the game. And to be honest, to be very honest, it's the only stat that really needed leveling up. And this was your stamina. Oh my God. It felt like whenever she just take one little step, it could kill your stamina. One little step kills your stamina. One little step kills your stamina, you know? And this got very, very annoying in the game because it's like the enemies would just wait for you to kind of deplete your stamina, and then they will come and kill you, you know? So then it's like, whenever you level up, it's like, okay, if I level up my health, but I don't have stamina, how am I going to attack them? If I level up my sanity, which is like my special, but I don't have stamina, how am I going to attack them? If I level up my gear slots for Omanori, which is basically like a special skill, a special effect that takes place under certain conditions, like if you dodge, then you get a little bit of health. If you don't have stamina, you are going to die in this game. You are going to die, and a lot. And I mean a lot, because you first have to dodge them before they get you. If you don't dodge them, you don't got enough life. Then once you dodge, it takes so long for your stamina bar to refill that by the time that it does start refilling, they didn't kill you. They killed you already. So basically, I didn't feel the need to level up my special. I didn't feel the need to level up my health. I didn't really feel the need to level up the Omanori slots. And I'm gonna tell you, that's another gripe I got. The Omanori slots or whatever, I didn't like those things at all, to be honest, because it's like it felt like it was clickbaity or level up baity, you know, because I was trying to see, okay, when is this really gonna take effect, right? So I was like, okay, I defeated this enemy, and I put one type of Omanori in there, and it was like defeat an enemy and it slightly refills your health. Now, when you say slightly, I'm thinking, okay, it'll be something that's worth it. No, it is literally slightly. I didn't even see it move. And it's the same thing with the other Omanori effects. Like if you dodge, then you get some of your health back or something like that. It all felt clickbaity. It just felt so like a clickbait for power-ups, you know? And I was like, there is no point for me to pay my faith to draw a random Omanori, because it really is not going to make the difference in battle. The only thing that will make the real difference in battle is first, your stamina. Second is your sanity, which is your special. third is health, because you know you got to have some health to go far, and then I say fourth is like your Ominori, and that's my opinion in the game. But for me, definitely stamina. You don't have stamina, you're just dead. You're just dead. There's no point. And that's what I really dislike about the can I say, the gaming design, as far as like the battle mechanics or whatever. That's really what I disliked. You know, it just felt so useless to power up anything else except stamina. So, but I'd say like the overall aesthetic of the game, definitely A plus. A plus. Like I said, I just came back from Japan, and it was certain like little areas that I was looking at in the game, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely been there. I definitely know where they got this idea from. I definitely can pinpoint this place. Like, you know, they had all the kitsune or the foxes. That was like when I went to Kyoto, and it reminded me of going to Sanju Sangendo. So I'm thinking like, you know, they just replaced all of the Buddhist god statues with foxes. Or I think there's another fox place in Japan where they got a bunch of shrines dedicated to foxes. So these things I'm able to really pinpoint, and this gave me a breath of fresh air while I was playing the game. So it was very, very rich in culture. Very rich in culture. And that's one of the other reasons why I'm giving it a somewhat of a high score, is because I was able to really take in the culture while I was there. So these little nuances that maybe you're not able to pick up throughout the game, I'm able to kind of to pick those up and say, okay, yeah, this is that, you know. So, but for me, it just the silent. It just, I think that this game just didn't know what it wanted to be, really. You know, the thing about it, it's balanced at both, but whenever, like I said, when I play Silent Hill, I'm just wanting to be scared and helpless. But I guess whenever you play a horror game, you can only go through so many haunted houses, right? Before it gets so boring. Like, I've already been through this haunted house. I've already been through this haunted ship. I've already been through this haunted forest. Haunted Hanya, right? So, I think with horror games going forward, you know, you could only disable somebody. Like, okay, beat the game with your arms tied behind your back. You know, Silent Hill 2 remake did that with James towards the later part of the game, where he had to go down and give up all his weapons. That made it very scary. Resident Evil 4 remake, whenever Ashley had to go in, and she only had that blue light, and she had to go through those nights. That was maybe the scariest part in that game. You see what I'm saying? It's you can only be scared to a certain point if you have weapons. So they have to disarm you, or they have to put you in a different situation where you are scared and vulnerable. And I think that with the Silent Hill F, the only way they could really do that is if they had to kind of switch back and forth between the horror and the action elements, you know, because it's like, okay, you got all this action and you got all these endorphins, but then it's like, it switches. It's like a code switch. And now it's like you're in this dark IKEA or this dark house, you know, and it, like I said, it works because it's balanced, but I was just expecting it to be like more 80-20 as far as 80% horror versus like 50-50, you know, because it literally was like 50% horror and 50% action, you know. So my biggest gripe is because it's balanced, which is not bad at all, you know. So like I said, this game is a strong 8.5 at the least, you know, something like that. It's not a bad game. It's just balanced. It's just that we as horror fans just want the horror element, you know. We just want to be scared the entire time, but it may not be so feasible nowadays, you know. But yeah, I say 8.5 Silent Hill F is definitely worth the money. Pick it up and, you know, enjoy at your earliest convenience. Hey, thanks for checking us out.